Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff, and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed a thing. And can I get a wee audio check in the chat, please? I'm going to have a look at some of these comments. Mr. Burger with hearts and strawberries. Oh, well, don't need to forgive you, mate. Your comments are pure fucking gold. Love it. Yeah, everybody, you want to go and read Budgie's comments because they are fucking epic. Who else we have? We have Eyes White Shots in saying hello to the wonderful Emma G, who somehow missed her comment. I'll be in trouble now. Emma G, good evening. Walla Wookie's in. Pack is in. Charles Kenwright is in. Welcome aboard, chump. Don't recognize your name. Glad to have you here. Hit that like and subscribe and all that good shit. Maybe come back next week if you like what you hear. It's always possible. Sansom saying he's not here, but I believe that he is. The dulcet tones of Mr. Rory Herbert. Evening, sir. Tell me that the audio's good too. Emma says, proper strong one. Well, like a bit of Aboriginally. There's an ugly truth in. Keys of the Kingdom. Fuck me, it's all going on. It's excellent. There you go. 10 out of 10. Thank you very much, people. Right, where am I? Yes. Do the housekeeping. So warm welcome to everybody that turned up from Sansom's channel from the stream earlier on. If you like what I'm doing, you're probably going to like what Sansom does earlier on or on Bonnie Ladd's stream. So maybe give that a go. Keys of the Kingdom says we're all here, but we're not there. Well, sometimes I think I'm not quite all there, but there we go. It is what it is. We struggle on. So there's that. Sunday, 7 p.m., Jack and Rags stream. I seen they have a picture of Miss Piggy, otherwise known as Michelle O'Neill, with some sort of Union banner. Fascinator thing on her head, which is obviously photoshopped. But there you go. Don't know what all is going on. I believe they have an open mic. So that should be good. And 77 Brigade's in, so we are all nice and safe. He'll keep us all, or she, because that brigade could be either or. They will keep us all lovely and safe. On Monday at 8 p.m., Sansom is hosting another Magnum 4s, so it'll be DJ Toffee, and that's live, but not as we know it. Doing a stream then on Monday night. I believe, yes, that's an 8 p.m. start. Who else? We've got John Davison at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays. Always a good stream. If you want some worldwide info, try Courage is the Cure. Does a good show. She's on. She goes live everywhere. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, wherever. you can check that out. And finally, the last shout out, as always, is for the Waffle House. There's Willie's in. Evening, Willie. Yes, Dave's Waffle House, 8:30 every weeknight. It is mad as a box of frogs, but it's also bloody good fun. If you want somewhere to go, chill out, forget about politics for an hour and a half, have a bit of a laugh, possibly win some merch, and the merch is fucking cool. Dave's Waffle House is a place for you. So let me have a think. Yes, that is everything. Oh, and Dave's Waffle House is in the lurking. Oh, yes, we do have another announcement. We do indeed. Next Saturday on this channel at 10:30, sorry, just getting a bit of liquid. Next Saturday, 10:30, we will want the parrots of the Tonics wafer will indeed be setting sail. So that'll be myself with Sansom and our special our special guest next week will be the wonderful Emma G. And we will be finding the weirdest shit or the weirdest news that we can possibly find and bring it for you people. We will search out the madness so you don't have to. So that'll be good. Ian, tune in that next week. And Carl Williams, what about you, chum? Glad to have you aboard. So that is everything up to date, all our shout outs. And with that, I think we are going to. Where are my links? Yes, I've found all my links. And with that, I think we'll begin to talk about Mary Queen of Scots. I'm just going to check chat and get this up on the screen. That's the one I want there. And let's have a look and see what size this looks like on StreamYard. And oh god, yes, that is going to get a bit of a zooming in. Where am I? View. Right, so Mary Queen of Scots, and this is coming from biography, biography.com. Mary Queen of Scots, in 1542, the Scottish throne went to Mary Queen of Scots, a controversial monarch who became France's queen consort and claimed the English crown. She was executed by Queen Elizabeth I in 1587. And Queen Elizabeth was indeed her cousin. So that's a bit weird. And as we'll find out later on, it's very probable that the two of them never met. So there is that. Now, so we're about to get into it. And before that, I just want to double check the chat. As some of you will or will not know, whenever I'm, that still doesn't look brilliant. Whenever I'm reading stuff, I'm on the other screen and I can't see the chat. So there you go. Willie seems to be looking forward to Emma G as a guest. So that's all good. And I think I did say hello to Carla did. So we're all good. And I'm going to zoom this in just a little. And that's going to have to do. So, Mary Queen of Scots, also known as Mary Stuart, was the Queen of Scotland from December 1542 until July 1568. The death of Mary's father, which occurred just days after her birth, put her on the throne as an infant. So, pardon me. One second, I'm going to have to mute the mic a second to do some coughing and stuff. Hopefully, I did not make any disgusting noises on the stream. Right, so you're only just born. Go do your royal duties and be queen. That sounds like a laugh. Uh, Forced to abdicate by the Scottish nobles in 1567. Mary sought the protection of England's Queen Elizabeth, who instead had her arrested. Mary spent the remainder of her life in captivity until her 1587 execution. Bit of a gap between being captured and being executed. Wonder what all that's about, and I believe we are going to find out. So, in the early years, Mary Stuart was born on December the 8th, 1542, in Lithington Palace, West Lothian, Scotland. Mary's father died when she was only 6 days old, making her the queen. Yeah, 6 days old, go you and run the country. I'm going to take a wild guess here. I think there was older people making decisions for her. So, Mary was the daughter of King James V of Scotland and his second wife, Mary of Guise. Mary's great grandfather was Henry the Seventh. Yep, making Henry VIII her great uncle. Elizabeth the First was Mary's cousin. So, what we can get from this is the people running Scotland and the people running England are all interconnected through marriage and family and whatnot. And basically, what has happened to the peasantry is they become the physical force which enforces the last 10 yards of family grievance. Some people, whenever they fall out members of the family, maybe they don't turn up at Christmas or you get a crappy gift or something. Whenever it's kings and queens of England, Scotland, or basically anywhere, whenever they have a falling out, the poor people get to go to war for them, which is great. Not really. Given that Mary was only an infant, her great uncle Henry VIII made a bid for control. So Henry VIII tried to take over and do the doing for her. Her mother, however, ended up acting as regent on Mary's behalf. And so at the very start, Henry's went, this is quite easy. It's a child there. I'll just take over and run the place. And Mary's mother went, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Mary was initially betrothed to Henry VIII's son, Prince Edward of England, who eventually became Edward V. Scottish Catholics, however, objected to this plan since England had separated from the Catholic Church. When the match was annulled, England attacked Scotland in raids that became known as the Rough Wooing. We're going to go into this Rough Wooing later on. Now, I'm going to go back and check the chat. One momento. Finby, what about you, Sean? Glad to have you aboard. All descendants from robber barons with horses and armour. That's pretty much what we are. Oh, Rory Herbertson. Fun fact, my old regiment was granted a charter in 1537 by King Henry VIII. So much that same area you're talking about. Yes, that's in and around that time when we were starting to get formalized armies. Carl Williams, fun fact, Mary Queen of Scots was held across a lot of big estates in the Midlands, Warwick Castle, the borderlands. Yeah, she got moved about from pillar to post. Some people trying to hide her, some people giving her away. It's all mad. Oh, I'm sorry, people. I will endeavour to not let that happen again. strange but true. If, like me, you have a large, well, actually, I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but it turns out from I stopped drinking copious amounts of cider. Uh, I've stopped farting so much and I burp a lot more and I don't even know that I'm going to burp. Nobody ever warned me about this, uh, but it happens. Although having said that, I am feeling a lot better for not drinking the copious amounts of cider, and I'm riding my bicycle more, so it's all good. And I will apologise for the burpings. Keys to the Kingdom, we will agree with that. Like and share helps feed the kittens. Uh, Burpee too. Yep. There we go. Right. That's us all up to date. That's exactly my thoughts. It is better out than them, but I really don't want to be. Uh, um, well, this is true. I'm a G saying just not my ear again, please. Yeah, I will try not to. I didn't fucking know it was going to happen. It just did. Uh, well, I don't know. I've been drinking copious amounts of cider for a very long time. I'm noticing the difference now that I've stopped. Uh, I don't know what if it's connected to anything else. I've also slightly changed my diet when I'm trying to reduce carbs, and that could have an input. But we're all there. Anyway, enough of that. Let's bring this back to Mary of the Queen of the Scots. And Slim, what about you? Sean? I'm glad to have you here. Ugly Troops tell me about Lives Matter. This is true. Thank you very much. Yes, and thank you for your understanding, chat. Thank you. Now, where was I? At the age of 5, Mary was sent to France where she grew up in a luxurious French court. Mary's mother was French and the Scots had a long standing alliance with France, so Mary was betrothed to the 4-year-old French heir. They have married this girl off at 4 years fucking old. Right, now, I do have stuff to say about this. I do. Uh, Whenever anybody tells, if you're male and somebody tells you to get some chivalry, uh, maybe ask them, does that mean they want you to marry off your daughter or whatever at 4 years old to some French heir in order to increase your lands? The only thing I would like to point out is that at the other end of this betrothal of the 4-year-old Mary Queen of Scots was a 5-year-old Prince of France. So the 5-year-old, he was married off to Mary, and I don't think either of the two of them had any choice in this matter. I would also say that we're in and around the. Let me go back and get the year that happened. 1542. So about 1546 or thereabouts, 1540s. Now, what we do know is that the other thing that we have with chivalry is courtly love, and that was uh, produced by the nobility, mainly the very rich and influential females. It was headed towards stopping this practice of marrying off daughters to gain land. Courtly love was promoted very heavily by the French Countess Marie, who was the daughter of Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine, which I think was round about the 1100s. Uh, Marie was the first in a long line of reformers to usher in gynocentrism, whose aim was to convince men of their shared flaws and prescribe romantic love and worship of the females that they courted. And this obviously doesn't fit with the notion of marrying off uh, your offspring to increase your lands. Uh, while this was quite successful with people further down the order, uh, it doesn't seem to have stopped those in absolute power from uh, arranging marriages at this case of 4 and 5 year olds to gain power and influence, which is mad. Mary was married 3 times, the last union eventually leading to her downfall. Yeah, because it's got to be his fault. Can't be anything she did. With that, I want to just give a quick check in the chat. Woodlanders then? What about you, Mr. Woodlander? Uh, glad to have you aboard. Thanks for dropping in. Ah, right. No, it was Courtney Love that killed Kurt Cobain, uh, which is quite different to Courtney Love, which was the beginning of the romantic uh, Courtney. Uh, Courtly love, romantic love, chivalry all go hand in hand, and they had been running for a couple of 100 years as a social construct by the time that this happened. John Knox did indeed set cats among pigeons. Yes, the average lifespan, particularly for a serf, was around about 30 years. And fuck me, we're in Tangent City, right? Uh, you had different classes of people in Britain, particularly in England, at this time, and you had a serf who was tied to the land, and if the Lord sold the land, you went with it to work for the new landowner. Then you had free men who could go from one job to another and earn an income, and then you had the noblemen who did supposedly did the fighting for everybody. You had the religious class that did the praying for everybody, and you had the ruling class that ruled everybody. That's pretty much the way we go. And yeah, these royals did seem to have quite the longer life than non-royals, unless, of course, they got executed or died in battle, because that happened quite a bit as well. So, Mary's spouses. In 1558, Mary married Francis, the eldest son of the French king, the eldest son of the French king Henry II, and Catherine de Mercies. And that would be the one whenever she was like 4. In 1559, Mary's husband was crowned Francis II, making Mary both the Queen of Scotland and France's Queen's consort. Unfortunately, Francis died from an ear infection the year after he ascended to the throne, leaving Mary a widow at the age of 18. And after 16 years of marriage at 18. That is fucking mad. That is crazy. Uh, we wonder why royals have a different life, have a different perspective on life than commoners, and I'm guessing that level of not trying to even think of the right word. It's commitment's not the right word. Duty's not the right word, because fucked if a 4-year-old understands duty. But responsibility, yeah, you go. The grown ups just go, right. You have to go do this today, and you go off and you do it. It's mad. So that's 1559. So that's 15, basically around the 1560. 15 in 1565, Mary gave in to infatuation and married her cousin, Henry Stuart, Earl of Danbury. So that's a good 4 to 5 years after her last marriage. Mary's new husband was a grandson of Margaret Tudor. So we're starting to enter the Tudor dynasty in England. Mary uniting with a Tudor infuriated Elizabeth Tudor. I wonder why. I wonder what her issue was. Uh, Her marriage to Delarney also turned Mary's half brother against her. Right, so she's married somebody and nobody's happy about it. I'm going like, yes, here we go. There's religion involved. Shortly after their marriage, Delarney's ruthless ambition caused problems. In 1566, Delarney and a group of Protestant nobles viciously murdered David Razzo, Mary's Italian secretary, stabbing him 56 times as a pregnant Mary looked on. 56 stabbings. You've got to really dislike somebody to do that much. Though she gave birth to their son a few months later, she no longer wished to be married to Delaney. Right, so she let's unwind this a bit. So Mary has an Italian secretary. Her husband doesn't like him a lot, so she gets his mates together and they kill him. Wendell Arney was mysteriously killed following an explosion at Kirkle Field outside of Edinburgh in February 1567. Foul play was suspected. Mary's involvement was unclear. So it looks like she blew him the fuck up and nobody went to the trouble of actually proving anything out. And with that, I'm going to check the chat. Yeah, and there's also rumors of crocodiles or alligators in some of the moats. Yeah, this is true, Woodlander. Arranged marriages, child brides, and globalism. Yeah, we don't care if we need to marry people off young, but there was a child husband on the other side of that as well, which everyone seems to forget. Whenever we're talking about in Europe, whenever children were married off, it was generally to other children. We didn't have this thing whereby a 30-year-old was marrying a 10-year-old. We had fucking children marrying children for what they might do in 10 years' time. It's mad. Oh, there's Linda Hunter in from Down Under. Glad to have you aboard. Thank you. Sansom, 42. I nearly died from an ear infection in 2021. Well, I had a temperature spike at 40 degrees Celsius because I couldn't get to see a quack and get twopence halfpenny. Twopence halfpenny drops to sort it out. Ended up in A&E. That, yeah, they just fucking shut down the medical profession. It is fucking nuts, mate. Well, the Wookiees making a good point. 30, yeah, the average life expectancy with the mint is going to get pulled way down by the infant deaths. That's something I haven't considered. Very good point. Willow. Oh, there's Regs. What about you, chum? Fuck Rags. Do not apologize for that. To be totally honest with you, I would much rather people are on the phone with their brother than listen to my stream. uh, really do not need to apologize for that, and thanks for dropping in. And the other thing I will say is, I know it's dark now, but if I do expect during the summer, the numbers will go down because hopefully you people are going to be out enjoying the bright lights, the evenings, the sunshine, and all that sort of stuff. Please do that. It's really good for you and it's really important. Right. Let me go back to this. Yep. So uh, she was married to Delarnay and he got blew the fuck up. Now, she also married James Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell. In May 1567, Mary consented to marry James Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell, the main suspect in her previous husband Delarnay's murder. What a fucking surprise. I would say that what has happened is she's been married to Dude A. Dude B's caught her eye and she's went, yeah, and they've started to have some sort of a relationship. And she's went, I can't do anything more with you until you get rid of my husband. And he dutifully went about and got that done. Uh, One aspect of courtly love and chivalry is that it's it became customary for females to be able to contract out their valance. That's where it had always happened that women would uh, get their. 1 second, I need to cough. Yep, it had always been the case that women would get their husband, well, actually, not necessarily husband, more father, son, brother, wider family group, get the meals of that to carry out violence on their behalf. Uh, Courtly love, chivalry love, codified that, and it became a requirement. Whenever you look at the books from the time about courtly love, it always had a trope where the man would go off and do some noble act and kill the evil person or the evil monster, track a distance in order to win the hand of fair maiden. So that's all quite. That would be quite normalized. Uh, Although it's pretty important you don't get caught. Bothwell had become a close confidant of Mary and was said to exert great influence over her. He also had his own ambitions to become king and had abducted Mary and held her captive in Dunbar Castle. I wonder did she really want to escape? One never knows. Mary's scandalous marriage to Bothwell, just 3 months after Delarnay's murder, made the Scottish nobility rise against her. Yeah, 3 months. Hmm, that's short. That's almost like she had. Is this the first documented case of monkey branching, where the woman will not let go of this branch until she has secured the other branch it's going to provide? Uh, and this is all heavily into the provide and protect method of society. Bothwell went into exile, where he was ultimately arrested and held captive until his death. Meanwhile, in July 1567, Mary was compelled to abdicate the throne in Scotland in favour of her infant son. Right, so the Scottish people have went, no, you're not fit to be queen. We want somebody else. We're going to get your infant son to do it. And obviously, she wasn't making decisions for her infant son in the same way that other people were making decisions for her whenever she was queen when she was 4. This is mad. She was imprisoned in. Oh, hold on. She was imprisoned in Lochhaven Castle, so it will be somebody else making decisions for the 4-year-old. Uh, so let's have a little bit about her children. On June 19th, 1566, Mary gave birth to the future King James VI of Scotland and James I of England, which brings us into a sensible tales all about the two cherries, the cherry revolution, the two bites of the cherries, and all of that. This is the era that we're talking in, which will lead us into the 1600s and then the Glorious Revolution. Or, if you're from Ulster, it's the Glorious Deliverance. But more about that in July. James was Mary's one and only child, conceived with her second husband, Henry Stuart. Mary was the Queen of Scotland from her father's death in December 1542 until she was forced to abdicate from the throne to her infant son James in July 1567. Following her first husband Francis's death, Mary returned to Scotland from France in 1561. By that time, John Knox's influence had changed Scotland's official religion from Catholicism to Protestantism. As a Roman Catholic raised in France, Mary found herself an outsider. And you would never guess this. If you go leave your country for a while and you come back, it's not necessarily going to be the same. And the new societal order may not just accept you the way they did whenever you left. This happens. However, with help from her illegitimate half-brother James, Earl of Monroe, Mary managed to rule while creating an atmosphere of religious tolerance. Generally speaking, whenever we have religious tolerance, it's not as tolerant as they would have you believe. Following the mysterious death of Mary's second husband, Henry Stuart, Lord Delaney, and her quick marriage to Bothwell, the Scottish nobility rose up against her and compelled her to hand over her rule to her son and imprisoned her. That seems like we read that 5 paragraphs ago. I think biography could be repeating themselves to make a longer article. I really don't know. As the great-granddaughter of King Henry VII, Mary had a strong claim to the English throne. Her French father-in-law, Henry II, made this claim on her behalf. However, Mary never became the Queen of England, which would go back to like the Saxon sort of method whereby succession was not necessarily a firstborn bloodline. The Saxons would do a thing whereby, come near the end of the reign, the king would have a good look about and decide who he wanted to take over, or queen. Although I don't believe we had any Saxon queens, but they would decide who was best suited to take over, who they thought would be best for the country, and they would give them that bequeathment while they were alive, and that continued until William of Orange and Mary were on the throne, and the line of succession was set by law at that stage in 1701, along with the Act of Union. But I digress. In November 1558, Henry VIII's daughter, Elizabeth Tudor, became Queen Elizabeth I of England following the death of her sister, Mary Tudor. Right. So this is where Elizabeth the first got the throne. Many Roman Catholics did not recognize the validity of Henry VIII's marriage to Elizabeth's mother, Anne Boleyn. That's because in order to marry Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII had to get a divorce. He asked the Pope for a divorce. The Pope said no, which is indeed a line for a song. Most of the people that sing it have no fucking clue what the Pope said no to. It turned out to be this divorce, and therefore the Catholic Henry went off, created the Church of England, the Reformation, became Protestant Catholic, and Therefore, a lot of the Catholics didn't recognize the marriage because it would have been bigamous according to them, because in the Roman Catholic Church's eyes, he never previously divorced. And they considered Elizabeth's rule to be illegitimate, which they would, because if the marriage wasn't legitimate, then the birth isn't legitimate, then she's not the legitimate ruler. And then you get things like Guy Fawkes, who goes into the Houses of Parliament on its opening day in order to execute the king, with the hope of putting a Catholic king on the throne. Another interesting side note is that from we had prime ministers, there was the unwritten rule, or the unfocalized rule, that the country should have a Protestant, whenever we set the line of succession and decided that only a Protestant could be king. We also decided that the prime minister should be Protestant Anglican to represent the Protestant monarch, which stayed intact right up until the fucking Boris Bastard Johnson, who turned out to be a pape and only announced, or never properly announced it, but it became apparent whenever his child was being baptized. And then that had broke the thing about the prime minister having to be a Protestant, which leads away to Rishi Sunak. There's a reason why our traditions are important, because they keep our societal order. And with that, I'm going to check the chat. So I'm just checking through the chat. Said Precious, go on the net, they said. Make friends, they said. Well, here you're here. Welcome, friend. And I hope you enjoy and get something out of this. And you're welcome back next week. We do this every week at 10:30. We do a different stream every week. Although it will be British history, culture, traditions, or something of that. Carbo. That's why the church had a big set of laws in certain clans and royal courts. They hated the Norse and old Celt laws, where one could split from a husband. I'm not up to speed really with Norse laws. The whole splitting from a husband thing has been right. Is almost 1690. Yes. Yep. The actions that are happening in this stage with Mary Queen of Scots is directly linked to the gunpowder plot. Gunpowder plot was to kill the king, to put in a Catholic king, because from 16 actually probably 1700 and 1701, we had William of Orange and Mary on the throne, and the line of succession was to be Protestant from then on. Those people wanted a Catholic king, and they thought the way to get that was to kill the Protestant king and get him swapped out. And that's where the gunpowder plot comes from. They did, but it had to be authorized by the Pope. And the Pope, in Henry VIII case, he said no. Probably because he'd already had a divorce, and he said, no, you're not having another one. Very welcome, said. So yeah, they did, but it just wasn't granted in this case. And then Henry VIII followed Lutheranism, and the Reformation created the Church of England with its own uh, version of the Bible, which then got superseded by King James Bible, and the Church of England, Church of Ireland, Church of Scotland's Book of Common Prayer. And those three churches are Catholic, they are Protestant Catholic, all Anglicans are Catholic. The difference, the difference, the difference has got uh, the big difference why people chose Roman Catholicism or Protestant Catholicism. Yep, it wasn't the first divorce. He'd had a couple because he was swapping out wives at a great rate. And the main reason why people would have chose to be Protestant Catholic or Roman Catholic would have been the who they had allegiance to. Uh, well, see, oh fuck, the Pope sounds like the man from Del Monte. Well, but the man from Del Monte is an orange man, and so he can't be the Pope, which is more of a Northern Ireland joke than anything else. For those that are not aware, the Orange Order is a Protestant organisation. Right. There we go. Let's get back on track with this. We've had quite the tangents. In 1568, Mary escaped from Lochhaven Castle, where she was imprisoned by the Scottish nobility for her unseemly marriage to Bothwell. She raised an army but was soon defeated. She fled to England, where she sought Elizabeth's protection. Really a bad move. I'm just saying, see if you want to go to somebody for protection, maybe check out first if they're going to protect you, because instead of helping her cousin, the Queen imprisoned Mary. And that's probably got a lot to do with her being displeased with one of her previous marriages. Mary's captivity would last for the next 18 years. Meanwhile, English Catholics plotted to get Mary, a Catholic herself, onto the throne by assassinating Elizabeth. Oh, we've got one that predates the gunpowder plot. Uh, so we've got bands of Catholics going, if we can just bump out the Protestant, bump off the Protestant Queen, we can put in the Catholic one. Mary corresponded with one such plotter, Anthony Babington. When Elizabeth's spymaster was uncovered the letters in 1586, Mary was brought to trial. She was found guilty of treason and sentenced to death. Now, one might question whether had Elizabeth, instead of imprisoning her, let her stay in the castle as a free person but contained her, would she have still tried to get her bumped off and take the throne? We'll not know that, which was chicken and which was egg. But anyway, what it ended up with was Mary getting caught out trying to organise the killing of the Queen, and for that she was sentenced to death. After Elizabeth signs her cousin's death warrant for treason, Mary was executed in Forthonley Castle, Northamptonshire, on February the 8th, 1587, when she was 44 years old. She'd packed quite a bit of life in there in 44 years. Elizabeth had Mary buried in Pettenberg Cathedral. After Mary's son became King James the First of England, he moved his mother's body to Westminster Abbey in 1612. Uh, a quick bit here about movies about her. Centuries after her death, Mary continues to be an object of cultural fascination. 1971 film Mary Queen of Scots starred Vanessa Redgrave as Mary, Glenda Jackson as Elizabeth, and Timothy Dalton as Darnley. In 2013, a Swiss-French movie was made on Mary's life, and in 2018, the movie Mary Queen of Scots starred Sarah Rose and Mary Magnet Robbie as Elizabeth. Now, what I would like to say, anybody that is watching films, adaptations, or whatever for historical facts, please do a little bit of checking, because it's hard enough to find the actual facts of what went on whenever they are already cast in stone. The amount of muddying of waters that is going on, and trying to put things like, fuck me, we've had programs recently where Anne Boleyn was fucking black, and so please don't take the realize that movies are meant for entertainment, and don't take that as your history. And also, do not take everything I said as being fucking exactly 100%. Before I do a stream, I check through several different sources, but do you know what? There's other stuff out there. What I hope to do is to get you interested enough in the subject that you want to fucking dig in a bit more and go find your own stuff. And there's a comment. The comments are open for all the videos. So if you have anything new, interesting, or different, stick it in the comments. I'm notoriously bad at answering comments, but if they're about the historical facts, I will make an effort. I will generally make an effort to reply to more comments, but yeah, it is what it is. So, summarization. Her name was Mary Stuart. She was born in 1542 on the 8th of December in Lithenslow, Scotland, which is part of the United Kingdom. United Kingdom, fuck off. United Kingdom did not exist until 1, so she was not part of the United Kingdom. She was part of Scotland. She was a female, of course she was. And back in those days, we still only had 2 genders, so that was good. She's most famous or infamous for, in 1542, the Scottish throne went to Mary Queen of Scots, a controversial monarch who became a French queen consort and claimed the English crown. She was executed by Queen Elizabeth I in 1587. So there you go. There is the outline of that, and I'm going to I probably made everybody's eyes go all funny scrolling that. I should have done that off screen, but here we go. With that, I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to check the comments. Gender fluids is stuff that comes out of your penis whenever one orgasms. That's called gender fluid. I think the word Protestant is a misdemeanor. They weren't protesting the Catholic Church back then, like Martin Luther King later. Most of the religions. They. Right, you're on the money with that date. Actually, in 1701. Right, do this in order. What they were protesting was the level of power the Pope had, more than anything else, and some of the rules, and they created their own one. It is genuinely, genuinely comes from protesting, because they were protesting against the papacy, as someone who was brought up in a Church of Ireland household, done the Sunday school and all, I can attest to that being correct. I will say that the Nicene Creed that we had in the Nicene Creed in the Church of Rome are two different creeds. They've got different words, but it's very similar. Uh, Rags is on the money. Back in 1701, that website has what they have done is they have gave the term for the country as it is now, as opposed to what it was at the time, which is something I sometimes get tripped up on because I'm very big on using the term Northern Ireland whenever I talking about anything inside Northern Ireland. But obviously, whenever I'm talking about anything but prior to 1920, it's Ireland as a whole. I've been known to slip up and have to correct that for myself. But there we go. We we Finby, uh, nearly all of recorded history is up for debate on accuracy. It fucking is. And if it wasn't up for debate about accuracy 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it certainly is now, because the history in the books is changing. It's fucking changing. In the same way the dictionary is changing. You get yourself a nice dictionary from 1970, you start looking at the words, you pull up your online dictionary, and you find that the definitions changed. It has happened in exactly the same way with our recorded history. Sorry, I'm just checking through the chat. One momento. It is indeed. Uh, in intrigue, treachery, heroism, victory. We are great people. We are the descendants of the winners of countless battles, of countless wars, of and for a lot of that time, it was a very physical thing. We're also the descendants of people who overcame tremendous hardship, uh, famine, disease, wars, even just staying alive in the early years in a country that has a climate like ours where it's only warm for a certain part of the year, where you have to store food and all that sort of stuff. Our people worked bloody hard to come through that uh, and create the country that we have. Bass is asking any Dutch angle. Not quite in this one, but William III was obviously of Orange, of the House of Orange, is obviously Dutch, and Queen Bee, Beatrice from Holland, is a direct descendant of William III. Uh, I may, I may have at one time, at one time, walked across the courtyard of the Royal Palace in Amsterdam singing "We Are the Billy Boys," but that's a whole other thing. Yep, Union of Parliament, 1707. It started off with the glorious. Started off with the glorious deliverance in 1690, 1691, and then it obviously took them a couple of years to get everything all in place. Yeah, but the Lord Mayor of Londonderry is an asshole. There is there was no Africans building our shit. Why, thank you, said. Yeah, this is true. If somebody was gay in the 1970s, they were happy. They were full of the joys of spring. And now they're fuck. I don't know what the fuck they are. It is absolutely mad. Right now, we're on an hour. I want to talk about the rough wooing, which it mentioned in here. That that Mary Queen of Scots engaged in or was part of. Uh, so we're going to do a little bit of that. Will we do a musical interlude? Hold on. We are going to have a little bit of an interlude. Uh, One momento till I find this. Just bear with me, please, and we will have a small interlude before we go on to the rough wooing. Uh, 1 second, I'm just trying to check which one it is. I believe it's this one. Yep, it is. Uh, Here we go. We're about to be treated to seeing uh, the wonderful Emma G's gardening. Because you might remember it was last week or the week before I showed some video of what Emma was up to in the garden, and here's where we're at now. Sure that. Just check it. It has. Here we go. That's as large as I can get that, people. Look at the growth on them. Is that the peas? Oh, and I'll also do this. If any of you would like to subscribe to Emma's channel, there is a link in the chat. Ah. Oh, fuck. See, I went straight to the Woodlander because I was expecting the man. He lives in the woods. He grows a lot of stuff. I was thinking we're going to get but yes, fascist vegetables are the best. They are indeed. Thanks, Rudy, and thanks, Regs. Yep. Yes, obviously going to be Dawn's favorite bit of the show. Uh, we're nowhere near Dawn's level of growing stuff with all our raised beds and all that stuff, but we're getting there. Sexist strawberries. Oh fuck, I love it. I love it. And while we're doing that, we're going to have another musical interlude. Because oh, hold on. First off, I'm going to stop that screen. We can take you down. Yep, I'm going to find a little something to a little musical interlude. Will take a moment or two. You've heard this one before. 1 second. Just to get this up. Sorry, just so I find this link. That's a lot. That's a lot better way of saying it. Hold on, and here we go. a nice little bit of a musical interlude. It's coming to you from Ballywalter Primary School. I believe you will like this.
Hello there, explorers. I just saw a wee sail. Doesn't look too well.
I left myself on mute for fuck's sake. I have to mute myself whenever I'm playing that because I tend to sing along. Oh, that retune, I think it's really class. That was a P3 class in Ballywalter Primary School that helped explorers look after a couple of rescue seals and then release them back to the wild. And then they made a song about it. And now I play it every so often because it's fucking good. There you go. What else was I going to say? Yes, while we're in this, Willie was asking when we're going to see Emma G. Oh, you're asking when we're going to see Emma G doing live streams, that's a totally different thing. I don't know. We will see if she gets that far. But Emma will be in the guest slot in here next week for the end of the month stream. And anybody else that wants on that particularly wants to come on as a guest for the end of the month stream to talk about irreverent madness, my email address is in the description of every video. Send me an email, put guest slot or end of month or something like that in the description bar. And I'll pick it up and get back to you, because I will be looking for people to come in for this guest slot. Guest slot's a permanent thing. Once you're on the list, you can rotate back around. There are some people that will. There are some people who only want to ever do it once. That's fine. But if you want involved with that, give me an email and look out, because there are some of you lunatics I will be getting in touch with that I would like to invite on. So there we go. That's that. Now, I really should have used the length of time that video was playing to set up my next clip, but I don't do that because I'm a fucking plank. Anyway, we are going to the rough wooing, and I almost burped again there. That's not good. What I need to do, I need to go over here. And Regs's Sarah went to Ballywalter Primary School as a child. Oh, and then the Hunter was liking the song. So good. We will see. I'm not, to be totally honest with you, I have a couple of people that I particularly want to get on. But yes, that's good call, Regs. The only thing is that this is going to be a guest stream once a month. So please, people, if you are thinking, fuck, I haven't had an invite, it's probably because it's only been, we're in the 2 people on this project. It's because I was singing all along. Yes. So there you go. Right. Let's get the actual content up. Now, see, whenever I went into the rough wooing, this is what we got. Henry VIII, Scottish aggression, the rough wooing. Now, he was related to Mary Queen of Scots. This is all happening around the same time. So Henry VIII has his place in history as a tyrant, dangerous and unpredictable, and hell-bent on consolidating Tudor power. I think there's part of that happened after a head injury, when his demeanor changed, but I'm not sure. The Anglo-Scottish relationship has always been a fragile one, and positive actions could be quickly undone. His own sister, Margaret Tudor, had been married off to James IV of Scotland as part of the Treaty of Perpetual Peace in 1502. I don't think it was perpetually peaceful. Single men with no life play Battle Brothers. They do indeed. Right. Yep. So the Treaty of Perpetual Peace, 1502, with Henry the Seventh. This peace was short-lived, however, and in 1513, James declared war in England, now in the hands of Henry VIII, and at war with France due to the Franco-Scottish alliance. Now, interesting thing, Terence of Scotland likes to have a fight with England whenever England's already in a fight with somebody else, thinking that they would create a two-front war, which would reduce the English ability. It's just how that tends to go down. James is subsequently killed in the Battle of Flodden in the same year. And the peace by this point was well and truly shattered. I think whenever you've killed a king, you've fucked up the idea of a peace deal. 30 years later, Henry was still battling with Scotland in the hopes to bring it under his control with one bloodline. So this is where we've got members of the same family in power in Scotland, in England, and they're fighting with each other. They can't fucking come to an agreement, and they're trying to win it outright. When James V was killed in the Battle of Snodway Moss in 1542, he left behind his 9-day-old daughter, Mary Queen of Scots. So this is how Mary Queen of Scots got to the throne. It was part of the rough wooing because her father was killed in fucking battle. Right? It's all starting to make more sense now. Mary's Queen of Scots and Henry saw this as the perfect opportunity. The Treaty of Greenwich was therefore created and signed by James Hamilton, Earl of Arran, and now Regent of Scotland. So he's a person that's looking after the country on behalf of the 9-day-old child, and they're signing peace treaties. Arran himself was power hungry, and he flitted between England and France continuously during his regency, in exchange for marrying the infant queen to Henry's son. Right, so he's the guy that's looking after the country. He's trying to play both ends against the middle, and the middle being the actual people of Scotland and England. In exchange for marrying the infant queen to Henry's son, the future Edward V, and peace between the two nations, Greenwich promised the marriage of Arran's son to Henry's daughter Elizabeth. However, the Treaty of Greenwich, right, so he's marrying off his own son as well. He doesn't care who the fuck gets married as long as he gets what he wants. However, the Treaty of Greenwich was rejected both by the Scottish lords and Arran himself. So he'd agreed to marry the child off the one person, and then he says, no, that's not going to work. So he agrees to marry the child off to some other person. It was the future of this treaty that led to the rough wooing. It was the failure of this treaty that led to the rough wooing. So if the treaty would have happened, then the battles wouldn't have happened. A series of invasions and attacks led by Henry VIII and Edward Seymour. Such violence lasted 9 years and continued until French intervention removed Mary and therefore Scotland from the scene of the appropriation. Despite Henry's death in 1547, the rough wooing continued, which sounds a bit like the raping will continue until sex is consensual, or the beatings will continue until morale improves. Take your pick. Only this is it being divulged on a country and a set of people as opposed to an individual. The rough wooing continued through Edward Seymour, 1st Duke of Somerset, in the name of England's new king, Edward VI. Under Seymour's leadership, the English continued their destruction and occupation of much of southern Scotland, particularly after the Battle of Pinkie in 1547, which saw the capture and deaths of around 8,000 Scots. That's quite the defeat because our populations were not as large back in those days, and if our populations aren't as large, then our army's not as large. Although, having said that, we have quite a large population at the minute and quite a small army. Compared to only a few hundred Englishmen, All right, so there was 8,000 Scots, I'm going to guess, killed, wounded, or captured, as opposed to a few hundred English killed or wounded to the point where they're no longer going to be able to come back to battle. Uh, like a lot of the they're doing a lot of this fighting with live swords, and if you get like hands, arms, whatever chopped off, you ain't going back to battle. By this point, Scotland were desperate, were in desperate need of help, and so turned back to their old allies, France, and renewed the alliance with the Treaty of Harrington. By January 1548, the Treaty of Harrington was signed. Mary would be removed to France, raised there with the intention to marry the Dauphin, and Scotland would receive French support. This treaty was very agreeable in comparison to Greenwich and the ensuing violence. Unlike Henry and Somerset, Henry the Seventh, I think, made no violent encroachment in Scotland on Scottish lands, and there was no threat to kidnap a monarch. Instead, France offered to defend Scotland in exchange for the young queen, who herself would be protected. Right, so we'll help you out. We'll keep you safe. We'll stop the English coming up. We just want your queen. That's all. Nothing large. Just put her in the marriage and have to do your bidding for the rest of her life. Small price, small. Although, having said that, they would gain peace out of this. So there is that. There had been a major concern during the rough wooing, clear from the fact that Mary was constantly moved around to avoid English invasion. To Duckland in 1544, and then to Inchmaclamone in September, upon being removed to France in July 1548. The Scottish had achieved two things for their monarch. Firstly, their safety and thus securing their own. Well, because if you want to go into Scotland to steal their monarch, you're going to have to get past a bunch of Scottish people. And whenever the draw of the prize is no longer there, they are less likely to be sending people in, and then the Scottish don't have to fight them. It's a win-win all round, unless, of course, you're Mary. And it would also, secondly, secure a dynastic marriage with agreeable terms that could secure the Stuart line. So if they get totally fucked up with being empowering England, they can be empowering France. And a lot of these people don't care really where they're in power, provided they are in power. The rough wooing continued until 1551, but with little use. Mary. So the wooing is they're wanting to get married to England, and the rough wooing is their attempts to abduct her. Mary, the ultimate way to gain the Scottish crown, had been far removed from reach, and instead England was now battling Scotland and France with no clear desired outcome. Whenever the booty, the prize for winning the war goes away, tends to be the war would go away. Although not so much now, because wars now, I believe, less about the prize and more about the money to be made in producing and using up the munitions. The Treaty of Northam was signed in 1551, calling for peace, returning of hostages, and any lands returned to pre-war owners. For Scotland and France, the outcome was a success. Mary was safe and secured. Scotland was no longer at war, and France had just gained a good footing into Scottish power. The intervention of France would be much disputed later on and was a source of irritation for many later in Mary's reign. So even back then they were trying to change the history, with the sentiment being that France had just a little too much influence over the crown. For England, very little, if anything, had been gained from this period. It was just one of the many Anglo-Scottish disputes, although it would be the last major conflict before James VI united the two nations in 1603, which was the first bite of the cherry. I'm going to take this down and I'm going to check the chat. I'm going to say at this stage, Wales is a small part of England. Not everyone. There are a lot of people. If you're born in certain places, you don't be a lefty at all in your life, because you see what's wrong with the whole left thing very early. Sid Precious is a lefty, and he's talking to himself. One second, I'm just going through the chat here. Well, yeah, Rory, please be at a PTSD camp in Bath and the funeral of a D-Day para veteran. Yeah, that's where you need to be. And you know where my email is, mate. Whenever there's a month that works out for you, give me a shout and we will definitely get you in. Sorry, I'm just checking through the chat. What? Yes, 42. Oh, trust me. One of my earliest memories would be of the real Vincent Griffin. Is totally correct. Everyone is born a baby, and then we grew up. But yeah, everyone's born a lefty. Yeah, I was. Yeah, one of my earliest childhood memories would be the 21 explosions that went off in Belfast city centre on the 21st of June 1973 when I was approximately 6, which is the product of leftism, Marxism, and the Irish Republican Army. And I can tell you that from that day, I was I developed a in-group preference and be on the right. 42. I'm Sussex, and I want to go to Bantry. Let me know if anyone's friendly around there. Uh, Said, unfortunately, I can't help you because I have no idea what Bantry is. That's eluding me. If, if it's a serious question, mate, send me an email with like more details, and I will actually look into it. Right. The other thing I wanted to look at was the Battle of Pinkie, because that's where uh, a whole bunch of that seemed to be quite decisive. So I thought we would have a look at the Battle of Pinkie. Oh, thanks. I hope you've enjoyed, Mr. Fence. Uh, yeah, and you could do with send me an email as well about a potential coming on for an end of the month slot. But anyway, Battle of Pinkie. I just get this pulled up. This is coming from BritishBattles.com. Uh, Mate, you're very welcome. Send me a detail. I'll have a nosy and give you my thoughts on the matter. Oh, another interesting one. I've had an idea. Anybody wants to send me their like problem page type crap, or even letters that they've seen on a Dear Deirdre type thing, and I will read and respond to those with my uh, own form of good advice. Uh, yes, get you off and get some snoozing, Rags. And thanks very much for dropping in. Oh, I just learned that Australian Aborigines were paid $500 for each jibby job. Well, why am I not surprised? I'll tell you what, interestingly, $500 was the amount of money given to the homeless people on the Gold Coast prior to the Commonwealth Games coming there in 2018, I think that was. Uh, yeah, they wanted rid of the homeless people for the Commonwealth Games coming, so they says, right here, here's $500. Fuck off somewhere else for 2 weeks. Great. Right. Where was I? Battle of Plinky. Sorry, Battle of Pinky. This is going to be very small. I can just, yeah. We need to change the size. We will zoom in and we will zoom in again. And that's as zoomed in as we're getting. Got a photograph of men in battle with swords and large pointy objects and all sorts of stuff. Uh, this is part of the 8 Years' War or the Rough Way. The date of the battle is 10th September 1547. The place is on the east bank of the estuary of River Esk at Musselburgh on the east coast of Scotland. And it's the English against the Scots. The commanders were Edward Seymour, the Duke of Somerset, the Lord Protector of England during the monarchy of Edward VI. He led the English army. And James Hamilton, Earl of Arran, Regent of Scotland, led the Scottish army. And what I will say about Arran is Arran jumpers are absolutely beautiful and very fucking warm. But it takes a skilled person to be able to do the Arran knitting and put in the ropes. The size of the armies of battle, the English army numbered around 14,000 men, and the Scottish army numbered around 25,000, which seems strange to me that the Scottish lost. There must have been some major bollocks up. While the Scottish army heavily outnumbered the English, the Scottish cavalry were few, around 1,000. Border horsemen or revivers, experienced in fighting, but equipped for banditry rather than battle, armed with swords and spears, but wearing rudimentary armour and mounted on poor quality horses. So they had people who could act as cavalry, but they were a second-rate one, and second-rate cavalries don't tend to do very well, particularly if the horses aren't up to the task. The main body of the Scottish infantry fought with a 6-yard long pike introduced into Scotland by the French before the Battle of Flodden. 1 second, I need to cough and clear my throat. Ha! I'm guessing this is going to be about yarn jumpers. Uh, my Amma is very good with the knitting and the crochet and all that three needle work. And in order to knit yarn, you need to be able to knit with three needles, the same as crochet. Uh, but Emma will be all over that. Uh, right, where was it? Yeah, Battle of Pinky. Yes, the main battle infantry with 6 yard long pike introduced Scotland by the French before the Battle of Flodden, adopted with enthusiasm by the Scots, who hoped to emulate the success of the weapon in the hands of the Swiss. Thing is, the Swiss had been using them for quite a while and had got expert. The Scottish had not. The Scots were this time experienced in the use of pikes in battle and readily adopted the most appropriate formation, three ranks presenting a hedgehog effect to an attacking enemy. The first rank knelt, the second knight slooped, and the third stood erect, all three with their weapons pointed at three angles towards the enemy, which is very similar to the way infantry unit would of musketeers would have went in the three ranks and had the ranks fire individually. Uh, the most famous place you'll see it is in the film Sulu, where the Zulus are attacking and they form up in the three ranks and it's fire, 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 which with the ranks walking through each other. And the amount of people that took out was fucking phenomenal. Otherwise, ordinary soldiers of the Scottish Army were armed with whatever weapons they could bring to war, because in order to get into this army, you were told, right, there's a war here, bring your own weapon. It wasn't organized and everything matching the way it would be in later years, including our agricultural implements from their everyday work. So, yeah, you've got a scythe for cutting the land. That looks like a weapon. Bring that with you. Uh, doesn't really work well in a full-on battle. Patton described the Lowland infantry as being clad all alike in jacks covered with white leather, doublets with the same or white fussing, and most commonly all white hosen. Right, so there was at least some element of the army that looked like an army. There was a sprinkling of archers in the Scottish ranks. The Highland clans fought with target, shield, and sword, many armed with heavy two-handed weapons. Whereas the Scottish army was armed in the style of the Middle Ages, the English army boasted equipment, weapons, and tactics from the early Renaissance, and particularly firearms. Oh, fuck. So Culloden was not the first time. Great. The English army was described by Patton as the best ordered that had ever entered Scotland. Both armies comprised artillery, but the English train was larger in number and more sophisticated with 15 guns. The English armies were three important bodies of mercenaries. A force of in the English army were three important bodies of mercenaries. A force of Spanish cavalry, commanded by Pedro de Gamba, heavily armored and armed with long wheel lock pistol. The second, German infantry, commanded by Peter Matters, armed with abercrombs, an early form of musket fired with bipod support. Both these bodies of mercenaries wore extensive armour. In the case of the Spanish cavalry, the horses being bored or protected by horse armour. So these are mercenaries that wanting to get out of their life, they've armoured themselves, they've armoured their horses, they've got fucking weapons that fire projectiles, and they're up against people with swords. It becomes a bit obvious why the English won and the Scottish lost. An additional corps d'elite was the King's Band of gentlemen pensioners commanded by Sir Thomas Darcy. A further mercenary corps was a body of some 2,000 mounted men at arms from Boulogne, captained by Edward Shelley. These well drilled and disciplined horsemen were English ex members of the Boulogne garrison, held at the time for the English king, along with the neighbouring ports of Calais. The main cavalry force in the English army was the 4,000 mounted men at arms commanded by Lord Jerry Wilton, Lieutenant of Barnes, Sir Rolf Fine, and the High Marshal. Sir Francis Bryan led the 2,000 English light horse. The rest of the army is made up of infantry soldiers, a wide variety of weapons, and substantial number of archers armed with the longbow, the most significant weapon for the English armies throughout the Middle Ages. The English army is supported by a fleet of 30 ships of war and 32 transports commanded by Lord Clinton, which lurked in the Esk estuary and fired on the Scots as they crossed the River Esk, moving towards the English at the beginning of the battle and away from them in flight at the end. The Scots were heavily defeated. I wonder why. I'm going to leave this tangent to the end. 1 second, I need to check the chat. That's a really good question, mate. I don't know how. If you can let me know how you managed to get here, please let me know, because I could possibly then spread that and get more people. While you've dripped in, hit that subscribe. You're on a channel where every Saturday night I talk about British history, culture, and traditions from a unapologetically patriotic perspective. Hopefully you come back. Hopefully you enjoy. And that's where you're at. Other than that, I know nothing. Sorry, I'm just checking chat. Oh, Roy Herbert. Sulu, Lieutenant John Cuthbert. It's a miracle colours. If it's a miracle colour sergeant, it's a short chamber Boxer Henry .45 caliber miracle colour sergeant born. And to which the colour sergeant replied, "Yes, that was the lieutenant talking to the colour sergeant. Says if it's a miracle, it's uh, right." And the colour sergeant said, "And the bayonet with some guts behind it," and that's exactly what it was. It was guts. I'm detecting you're a local, mate. Right, Mucker? What about you, chum? Glad to have you here. We're keeping her lit. And we're cooking my gas. It's all good. I'm glad you found your way back. I'm glad you found your way back. All right, get back to the Battle of Panky. There's something else I wanted to check. Where are we on? Right. We're on 1 hour 43. What I'm going to say here is what I'm finding important here is that the Scottish in what year's the Battle of Planky? On the 10th of September 1547, the Scottish went into battle against the English. The English army had rifles, projectiles, all sorts of stuff. The Scottish are still carrying swords, and the Scottish got fucking trounced. Now, My big question is, how in the name of holy good fuck do we get from, do the people that seen that, witnessed that, bury the dead, carry them off the battlefield and all? Why? I don't know how many hundred years later it was, but they attempt the exact same thing. It's not good. We should have learned something from that. And we're now on 1 hour 45. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say that is us done with Mary Queen of Scots and the Battle of Plinky. I'm going to have another musical interlude. I'm going to play. And there's Eleanor's in. Evening. Yep. Right, where am I? Yes, I'm going to play a little bit of a musical interlude. This is going to be a Justice Kane and 42 song. And I think we're going to go with Eats the Bugs. If you like this music, if you go on to iTunes or whatever and you look up Justice Kane, you will find the album Mercury is Rising. It is very inexpensive. It's about £7. I think I paid $7.99 for it. What I found really strange is because I was actually listening to the album today. It catches me out every time I hear my own voice on a fucking album with Wolf for it. It doesn't sound like it should be there. But where it says in the song listen, Justice Kane, open brackets, feature 42, I found that to be very cool. But if you want to find this album, you can find it. Here we go.
This is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance.
You will own nothing, and you will be happy. And you will eat the bugs. Eat the bugs.
Oh shit, man. Eat the bugs? You got me wrong. You got me so wrong. You ever seen a cave drawing of somebody with a spear hunting a mosquito? Well, me either. We eat meat and we have choices. You cook the hedgehog right? It tastes like chicken. Fucking chicken. I ain't eating your bugs. I ain't eating your bugs. I started off with nothing and I'm never going back. I'm not getting on your progressive track. With Agenda 2030, I refuse to engage. I can see where it is going and it's just another cage. I've got hedgehog, I've got rabbit, I've got wild hog. Fuck it, I can even move to Alaska and get me a nice caribou. Fuck it, I'm not eating your bugs. You're trying to take away what I fought so hard to get, so I'm going to say no to your cattle car trade. Eat the bugs? Live in some communal pod with no fucking privacy? Oh, nothing will be happy. I've seen the people with nothing and they don't look happy. Eat the bugs? Live in some communal pod with no fucking privacy? Oh, nothing will be happy. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. Fuck it. Oh shit, man. You got me wrong. You got me so fucking wrong. There are millions of us in the UK, billions worldwide, unvaccinated, striding out into our third winter of death with not a care in the world. Eating pig, eating cow, eating chicken, and we will not conform. Fuck it, I'm not eating your bugs. Hey, Klaus Wall, this is 42, and I want the word with you. Motherfucker.
This is the fourth industrial revolution. We have a window of opportunity for the great reset. Technology is a critical weapon. History is truly at a turning point. We can shape a better world, and we will reglobalize to make it a better place. So will honor, and so will be, and so will eat the bugs.
Why we got me talking? Why is United Nations in charge of Stonehenge? Keeping me away from the stones? That's not world heritage, that's British heritage. You're getting to a point where the people just want to be left alone going to get involved. Tell me again, why is United Nations running Stonehenge? Fuck it. Stonehenge, new games of fucking Perry Mountain Range, now all owned by UNESCO, so you and I can never go. Fuck your 15-minute cities and your Internet of Things. We are going back to nature, see what that life brings. We had a good look at the darn new day, so we hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid. Fuck it. We hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid. Fuck it. We'll hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid.
This is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance.
Fuck it.
Fuck yes. Take myself off mute, so nobody hears any of my singing along. So there we go. That is Nigel Farage was born on the same day as my wife, but 3 years later. I still have the birthday card that he signed for her some years ago. That's cool. Oh fuck. I don't have that easy to find. Although, I don't know where to. I wouldn't even know where to start looking for that clip. Otherwise, I would play it. But that is fucking funny. That was a funny stream, and got some funny clips. Yep, and all that. So there you go. That's us for another week. I would like to thank us all for coming along. I will reiterate one of the things I said before. People, please engage with their history, do a bit of digging. Hopefully, there's something I've said here that's pricked something that you want to get a bit more information on. Do a bit of research. It's our history. If we stop talking about it, we will lose it, and we will lose control of it. We pretty much already have. And imagine what the culture wars would look like if people on our side of it actually turned the fuck up. Because what's happened is it has been very easy for the left to take control of all the institutions, to take control of the media, to take control of all that. But we haven't turned up to oppose it, so we need to start doing that. Hashtag, thank you very much for that. And with that, yeah, that would be about yes. When the hunter saying, Rory, you always deliver like a John Davison postman. You do indeed, and I'm presuming that's what Willie's talking about the stories to. And with that, I'm going to play the alternative outro, which is indeed the theme tune from Kelly's Heroes.
Friends all tried to warn me, but I held my head up high. All the time they warned me, but I only passed them by. They all tried to tell me, but I guess I didn't care. I turned my back and left them standing there. All the burning bridges that have fallen after me, all the lonely feelings and the burning memories. Everyone I left behind each time I close the door. Burning bridges lost forevermore. Joey tried to help me find a job a while ago. When I finally got it, I didn't want to go. Party Mary gave on me when I just walked away. Now there's nothing left for me to say. All the burning bridges that have fallen after me, all the lonely feelings and the burning memories. Everyone I left behind each time I close the door. Burning bridges lost forevermore. Years have passed and I keep thinking what a fool I've been. I look back into the past and think of way back then. I know that I lost everything I thought that I could win. I guess I should have listened to my friends. All the burning bridges that have fallen after me, all the lonely feelings and the burning memories. Everyone I left behind each time I close the door. Burning bridges lost forevermore. Burning bridges lost forevermore.
Up yours, baby. Okay, everybody. I've been 42. You lot in the chat have, as always, been fucking amazing. Good night. God bless. See you all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.